Okay, so now we're into the sub package stuff where this is really what you're going to be in majority of the time. I feel like this is going to be really good for us because we're going to end up kind of breaking it down into, in my mind, two categories, maybe three, but definitely two. Okay, so the first category is our zone coverages, our matching zone coverage principles. And then the second is our man principles. Okay, and both of them are used from the standpoint of really trying to get a double team on the best player. Okay, that's like the meat and potatoes of what the defense is all about. Now, in order to get to that point, you need to go through the progression of learning the base coverages, what each one does. Okay, and it really comes down to playing cover six in Madden, cover nine in Madden, and quads in Madden. Okay, quarters. And using their terminology, we'll do that today. But really, those three coverages are like the base core of what we're doing. And then we will have a third category. And then you have our man stuff, I apologize, which is going to really talk about using, we're going to use one robber, we're going to use two man, and we're going to use a little bit of cover one, actual whole principles. And again, we're trying to take away potentially the best player, okay, or two players. And then there is cover two, just generic cover two, used as a way to hopefully get good pass rush and make it hard for a team to throw the ball deep down the field. Okay, so really, let's just focus on the right now. This video here is going to be a combination of 4 or 5 different coverages. We're going to go through it right now. The first one's going to be their sub nine. Then it's going to be cover eight, which is cover nine in Madden. Stuff. Okay, we'll talk about that, which is really cover six in Madden, with a little bit of a twist. Quads, okay, Zeus, which is their way of getting that roll coverage to be wherever the best receiver is, and then pack, which is cover six in Madden with all the matching principles attached to it. So let's just worry about these matching principles. And then one thing is this, and this is how I'm going to do it, especially since I'm still wrapping my head around everything. I'm going to use, I'm not going to always just be calling their coverage Zeus, which is going to be getting a double team on their best player. I'm actually also going to take it from a standpoint of what does my defense do well? So if I have a corner who's really good at playing zone coverage or he has an ability to play like short flats, I'm going to just call the coverage and let it play out. So it might be like cover six, and no matter wherever he is, he would be the rolled side corner, okay, no matter the formation. So it might end up becoming cover nine if for some reason the formation is to his side where there's more wide receivers. Does that make sense? So we'll talk about that more in the field, and that's more specific to your team. If you have a young corner that you don't want to be playing a lot of man-to-man coverage and you want him to always be the flat defender, you want him to get more interceptions or something that way, tackles, then we're always just going to kind of like roll the coverage to his side. All right, no matter what the formation is. Okay, so that's going to be a requirement of you having both cover nine and cover six in your audible system. That's like the most important thing. And then quarters as well, because we want to disguise some of this stuff if you have time. Okay, so let's just quickly go through this. This is just a review, kind of sort of coverages that I've spoken about already, but let's just use their terminology. Sub, cover nine. I'll go through all the coverages here on the whiteboard, and then we'll go onto the field and just cover it there. So we just get like a bunch knocked out at one time. So sub nine is 4 man, four under, three deep, that zone. Okay, so really what it is, it's the cover three. Okay, don't worry about these things. I'm not 100% sure what's going on with the strap in the nines call. That's stuff for underneath coverage, really, but it's cover three seam. Okay, so you have to just kind of convert it in your brain a little bit if you want to use the Fangio language. His cover nine is cover three seam. So let's just look at some of these photos here. So let's look at this one, 3x1. Okay, so when it's 3x1, all right, the rotation here is always going to be away from the nickel. Sorry, it doesn't matter if it's 3x1 or not. This is three seam. This is not three buzz seam. I'll talk about grab in a second, but we're always going to rotate down away from the nickel. Okay, so we're going to always try to disguise coverage. Okay, so if your league allows you to do it, try to sit in that too high shell, even though we call three seam. So we're going to come out calling quarters, and then we're going to audible to three seam. Okay, when we get into this coverage. Nothing really changes here. There's some little details here of a seam flat by the nickel over 3x1. In Madden, you can't do that. So you might have to user that guy if you want to kind of like get a little bit of a you know, realistic technique on that. But really, the main thing is just playing cover three seam, okay? And then the last thing here, down here at the bottom, we have an example. Anytime there's two receivers to the weak side and they are detached away from the core, so let's say it could be 2 by 2, and it's a spread 2 by 2. That's when these guys have something called grab, where basically the whoever the hook defender is weak, he would become the flat defender, and the down safety would become the hook curl. So it's basically three buzz seam, okay, as it is in Madden, three seam buzz, whatever it's called. Which in nickel 2-4, you don't have that call. You really only have it out of if I'm not mistaken. Hold on, let me take a look real quick. So 9 grab, we have it out of big nickel over G. That's part of the reason why it's in the package. And also, if we go dime rush, we can play 9 grab. Okay, so I actually have it set up that way. That 9 rush, which is just an extra DB on the field, um, is going to be only used. We're going to use grab exclusively for that, which honestly you can get away with in Madden because if somebody's coming out with a number two weakest spread out, it's probably a 2 by 2 spread set or 3 by 2 empty. So you could put your dime package out there with an extra DB out there if you like. Okay, so we can also manufacture this by just taking cover three seam and then just changing the assignment of the weak hook player and the safety weak. Okay, if you want to do that as well. So I'm pretty sure you can do that. I'll double check on the field. But that's pretty much it. Now, when do you want to use this coverage? I mean, we'll talk about that more on the field, but it's more of a change up. Even though this is how he teaches it, I'm not sure why this is the first coverage he teaches, but to me, it's more of a change up. It's definitely if you want to try to stop the run. The safety's going to be coming down late, so you can't really expect him to be there right away. But it's one of those things where, to me, it's a change up. I can't really say anymore. It's not really part of the base offense, but it is defense. But it is something that he likes to teach first. And I'm following the way he teaches it in his book or the way it's installed in his book. All right, sub eight. Okay, so sub eight is our um in Madden cover nine. Okay, so we are basically putting the Catfield side to the side of the nickel. That's how he says it, and the nickel always travels to the side where there's more wide receivers. Okay, so that's what happens. Something just again, I talked about this in my little intro video talking about stuff, but you know, the adjustments tells me the thought process of Fangio. Okay. The main thing here that I see is he has all of his adjustments ready here, which is interesting. Um, to the weak side. So the weak side is where the quarters is. Okay. So when I say interesting is that he can have his read, he can have his buster, he can have his box. That's versus really bunch sets. And then we have tricks. Let me get rid of this. Tricks again versus 3 by 1. So tricks is the idea in quarters where the weak side safety can come back and he can poach the strong side. So that's just interesting. Everything here is pretty much up for grabs. I'm thinking though, again, why do you want to call this coverage? Well, you want to the strong side for whatever reason you want your field side to be there. I like it versus personally 3 by 1 formations. So this is one of my first things that I would do if I see a team come on a 3 by 1. He has a lot of motion here. 2 3 by 1. I don't know why this is just start with a regular three. Oh, here we go. I'm sorry. I didn't see it. All right. So yeah, 3 by 1 here. Okay. So this is where you're kind of just you're playing half field to this side and you're pushing the coverage, right, to the right side. And then the tricks is even coming on the backside where you have a safety that will help out if three goes down the middle. Okay. So this feels, to me, this is one of those situations. This is more of a I use this versus teams that like to run flood combinations, that like to run routes like this. I'm thinking they want to try to put multiple players to that side of the field to try to high low somebody. Well, I'm going to try to roll my coverage that way. I'm going to bring my defense to play to help out versus that side of the field. Okay. Um, and again, this could be a situation where the one thing I will say is this: you're going to have to be comfortable playing quarters to the passing strength and also comfortable with playing cover two to the passing strength because we're going to end up being in either or later on. Okay. So that's pretty much how I would just kind of go with this. This is more of a tendency based off of not necessarily personnel, but like the type of routes they run. And I always like to start games this way to make people have to show me their second hand because they come out in bunch formation, right? We're going to be over here to the half field side or this side right? And that's going to make them have to throw the ball probably to the corner. You know what I mean? I want to see what they're doing. Are they running crossing routes? Are they running flood combinations? And also just that corner back here sitting on the soft squat. He's not always in perfect position to make plays on the ball, but he's in good position to at least make the offense have to hold the ball. You know, it's not clear if he's going to get back and help out or if he's going to come downhill. Okay. But anyway, just wanted to show you sub 8 is cover 9 in Madden. All right, so that's pretty simple. All right, so nickel stuff. He calls it stuff. I'm not sure why he calls it stuff. I talked about this in one of my videos. If you didn't see it, I'm just going to kind of show you how there's no adjustments here on this page talking about trips formations, which is really the formation that you always want to have adjustments for. So take a look at the actual drawings as well. We talked about this already. Here, this is a 3-by-1 formation, and we don't have any games. We don't have it. We can't play tricks because we're playing half field to the side over here. It's cover 6. So cover 6 is half field away from the nickel, just so you know. All right. But over here, we still don't have any reads. Later on, we're going to see some other coverages where we can have possible reads here. Okay. So to me, this is really just playing quarter. It actually even says, I think there's some other stuff here where it kind of even talks about there's no three receiver hook player with the Mike linebacker. So what I'm suspecting is that he's actually trying to play a little bit of zone coverage over here. He's trying to kind of zone it off. He's not trying to play a real heavy match to that side. Okay. That's going to kind of take away a lot of the big play. It helps him so that he doesn't get beat on big plays, and also gives, I talked about it before, a little bit of zone presence in your match system. So what I'm going to propose is calling cover 6 and turning off match. Okay, so no match with stuff. Now versus 3-by-1, that's absolutely how I would play it. So now we don't have to worry about you know, all the different rules, and we're not playing palms like we would in versus 3-by-1. When we call pack later on, it's a different coverage. We will use the palms then when we call pack, okay? But when we call stuff, we want to play a zone style coverage. This would be pretty good to use like on third and short, third and medium. I think it's a really kind of good call. It's again situational call. So we kind of are starting to understand why we want to call these calls, right? The first one was more against, hey, we want to get extra guy down the box late, use it as a disguise, kind of use it as a changeup. Second one is, hey, we want to use it versus 3-by-1. We're going to try to probably play a little bit of cover 8. That's part of the game plan. Their offense was a lot of 3-by-1. Stuff is more of, hey, we want to use this as situational, third down, third and medium. We want to play a little bit of zone to one side, and we're going to play obviously cover 2 away. If we do get 2-by-2 or 2-by-1 formations, okay, guys, like we don't have to now play zone. We can just let it play quarters. We don't have to do anything. Okay, when I'm talking about quarters to the strong side, so we don't have to like turn off zone there, or you can. It's up to you. It really is up to you. So the way I'm going to use it, guys, and my personal thing, and I think I try to understand how he's thinking, is let's use stuff as an actual like zone drop defense. Okay, you're going to lose a little bit of your jam on your flat corner, but let's do that. Okay. All right, let's move to the next one. So, excuse my voice, guys. Quads. Okay, so quads is here. It's just cover 4. All right, and really, I think quads is in there just to talk about tricks. Okay, it's just to talk about it. Quads is really not going to be called straight up a lot in this defense unless we are using it for disguise one, or we just feel really good about the corners and the outside. Let's say the receiver, our corners are really good. They could take away the number ones, and we just want to give a lot of body presence to the inside. We want the safeties inside there. We want everybody just concentrating in the middle of the field. We know we're giving up the outside deep routes and the outside short routes. That's fine. But we just want to play quads. So it's more of a, you kind of know quads will come to you. You don't have to come to quads. It will tell you, you would know when you can play quads. You know when you're playing a bad team. Okay. So I don't have to really go through a whole lot. You know tricks, what tricks is. All right. We talked about that already. And, all the tools here, you just, the box coverages and everything are still there, guys, versus bunch stacks, things like that. So just remember that. So now here we go to Zeus. So now this would be the first time I'm going to really try to use this for game plan. So if you go into a game and you don't know who the good receiver is, or you have no idea, you don't care, it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? I think you could just kind of come out there and just play ball. But if you know you're going up against Tyreek Hill, right, and you know you're going up against, an elite receiver, you want to come out here and say, hey, let's use Zeus, especially on big downs, okay? Third down, especially, right? Or even first and second down. We just want to We just want to make sure that our rolled side is to the side of the number. Okay. Now you can use this to numbers. Really, just talk about numbers because that's how we want to work it. So don't worry about this page so much. Let's go to the next one. It has pictures on it. Any the ones that are in yellow, let's say that's the primary guy that we're trying to take away. Okay, so we don't know where he's going to be, right? When they call a formation, it could say trips, but we have no idea where their receiver is going to be. Now, have you done a little film study? You might be able to assume. So you kind of start maybe the defense. Let's say you know most of the time it's always the left wide receiver because that's the number one wide receiver in Madden, and you know he doesn't go into the slot. Well, if that's the case, then we're just going to start with cover six and then just lay with it, live with it. Okay. And that's pretty much it. Now, just again, just to talk to you about this, and the interesting part that I'm still trying to wrap my head around is that you even see this is 3-by-1. We're playing basically stuff right here, okay, over here in this picture, which is cover six. But you see how there's no notation here for like anything to do to 3-by-1. Usually, you'll see it in the next picture when we get to pack. You will see something there that would say read. It would say read on nickel, and they would have I'm sorry, area call. So they would have an area call between the nickel, the backer, and the safety, which is basically palms coverage. But here it's not there. So it's very interesting how like we're trying to take away that receiver, but we're still not really using our match principles in 3-by-1. So it's almost like we're kind of still playing zone. So if you call Zeus to 3-by-1, honestly, if you want to keep it sim, and this is how I'm going to try to wrap my head around this, is that I'm going to play spot drop coverage here again. Okay. I'm basically calling what I just learned was stuff in this situation. Okay. Now, if we get him in the slot position here, okay, we're going to call quads. Okay. So quads would be anytime the guy we're trying to take away is in the slot. Now we can leave it on and just play quads. We would call quarters. Okay. And we would just leave it on, and this guy would come over and be that tricks player, that poach player in the backside. Okay, so here we go. 3-by-1, the last one. Let's say we get this. This will now turn into in cover eight, which is cover nine in Madden. Okay, so we will now just roll the coverage this way, play half field, and we still have our tricks player here, and we're good to go. All right, does that make sense now? So really, it kind of that's why we learn the other coverages so that we can kind of run them all. So, like that's why I said in Madden, you got to have cover six, cover nine, and you have to have cover four as your coverages that you want to play so that you can get through this. Now, you could call cover four, you know what I mean, quarters, line up in it, and then just make your adjustments, right? So only versus if the guy's in the slot, you could just stay in it, but then you can also make your hot routes, right? And kind of like get into cover nine and cover six if you feel like you can do it in time. You really need to know your opponents. I wouldn't do that unless you've scouted them or you're going through the first quarter and they're not quick snapping you. They're making a lot of adjustments. They're trying to read your coverage. In Madden, guys, people know if you're in quarters or not field a lot based off on where your safeties align. Okay, when the safeties are wider, a lot of times people know it's cover two, right? Regardless of what the corner's doing. And versus a formation like 3-by-1, a lot of times the safety would be lined up inside of number three or kind of like right off his outside shoulder. And people know that's the quarter side. That's the bad thing about calling cover six and cover nine in Madden terms, because people can kind of see your coverage. So that's why calling quarters might be a good way to kind of come out. Even if you called quarters, held it for a second, and then audibled into the coverage you needed, that's probably a little bit better than just coming out in the coverage from the beginning. All right. But Zeus would be a call that would be part of every game plan and only use, if we really need it. Okay. All right. And the very last part of this deal before we jump on the Madden field is good old pack. I know this from the Rex Ryan system. Everybody knows six pack is what it's called. All right. And really, now you're going to see a whole bunch of tools that pop up. Like down here, we have area, we have book, we have all these different things we can do to 3-by-1, to trips. So it's like he saves this for all right, they have an elite slot receiver, okay? And we know that, so we want to play we want to play pack. We want quarters to like be to that guy's side, and we want to read him out. We want 3-over-2. We don't want him to be, getting predictable, easy routes on us. All right, so let's just start with 3x1 again. So pack is just, again, pack is covered the same thing as stuff, except we have more games. We have reading going on. Reading being that if it's 2x2, okay, we're playing our rules of weak side is playing over here. They're playing cover two, but to the strong side over here, we're playing read, which is palms coverage. So this is the reason why I'm going to save palms coverage for this situation. Okay. So palms would be when I use pack. If I want to, I'm sorry, cover six would be when I just call it. I'll just call it out. You can just play it. But if I wanted to get this look right here versus 2x2, I have to remember to call palms. Okay. And then make the changes over here. So I can still get the read over here. I can get that palms. If two goes out quickly, right, the corner comes off. If you guys don't understand that, please look at the palms videos that I've talked about before. Or just if you have any questions, let me know. I'll help you out. But I don't want to spend too much time reteaching palms right now. But in general, that's pretty much where we are. Okay. So over here, though, if we get 3x1, right, now instead of it being a situation where we are, again, we're playing cover six principles. So this right hand side is gone. They're playing half field. But as you see here, it says read, right? And these three guys are playing 3/2, and they're playing the good old palms in Madden the way we know it. Okay. So this is why we're going to have two different versions of calling back and stuff, two different versions of cover six. We're not going to keep it one way. Okay. So just want to have that ready for you to go. Madden's loading up in the background if you heard that. And we're going to jump on the field and just try to work this thing out, try to make it nice and simple so it's not too much, and then go from there. All right. I'll see you on the Madden field. All right. So we're on the Madden field here. All right. Roster wise, I picked up a roster from 2006 here. So I went with the Ravens because Vic Fangio was a special assistant, defensive assistant with the Ravens at this time, and the coordinator was Rex Ryan, and that's why you have a lot of this overlap with the verbiage from Rex Ryan's system compared to what Fangio has in his system from the 3 years that they worked together. So anyway, let's just kind of start here and let's go with cover nine. All right, so cover nine, we're just going to work. And again, make sure the audibles are set up. It might be a little bit screwy here. You just have to put cover three in there. If you guys can fix this on your own, please do. But for some reason, my audibles are all screwed up. So make sure we have three seam here ready to go. So what we're going to do here, because we want to disguise the coverage, we don't want to come out and cover. We don't want to come out in three seam right from the beginning. We want to come out in quarters or palms or any type of two high shell. You can even come out and cover two if you want it. And let's go against 2x2. All right, so we have our quarter shell. All right, so we're gonna now check into three seam. Now there's two ways you can do it. If your league doesn't allow you to nudge, just back everybody up, okay, and then check into three seam and just hold this player on this side, okay. So that's some leagues don't allow you to do it. Two of my leagues are like that, but we are playing now three seam there, okay. Let's reset. If for some reason your league allows you to nudge, you can also just kind of nudge this guy a little bit. All right, get back on this safety. You can nudge him too if you want, and then just call three seam. All right. So now everybody's there. We're playing cover three, regular seam rules. All right. So I'm starting with this coverage really just to kind of show you how it works in the playbook, but we're not going to really, well, we're not going to stay in this coverage a whole lot. We want to use this as a disguise. Okay. After you've played a bunch of quarters and you've played some two high shells, it's a good thing to kind of throw this in there. All right. Now, nine grab situation is again, if you have a formation where number two is walked out in the slot. So let's go 2x2. Let's go this one right here and then just come out versus this type of look. In this defense, we don't have a three buzz seam, so we can't do anything about that. So we could just call palms again. All right. And the good thing about calling palms here, you're gonna have to nudge two people just so you know. You don't want this guy to get pulled in right away. All right, but you don't want him to leave the number two wide receiver. So we're just gonna nudge him a little bit. We're gonna nudge him a little bit, right? And then we're gonna get into cover three seam. All right. So we're playing three seam like that. Okay. Now, this will be the part I said. This is why you need to know if your opponent's going to snap the ball quick. Because if you want to get into the nine grab, you have to take this player, put him into a curl flat, and then take this one and put him into a hook curl. So we're playing three buzz, right, from that look. So the reason why it's so much to do is because they don't have three buzz at a nickel 2-4. For some reason you have a regular nickel over, you should be fine. You can use that. Or you can use dime, like I talked about, dime rush. That's in the book already. There's already a three buzz seam there. And then also big nickel over G. You have covered three buzz seam. All right. So you could just call that versus these formations and you don't have to worry about anything. All right. Right here. And just know that nickel buzz, big nickel over G. This guy is not walked out. You have to walk him out. I would probably use him if I were you. Okay. And then we have our base rules in three seam where our seam flat players are playing number two vertical and outside. You know that. So just go from there. Now versus 3x1, you're fine to go. Again, I would just probably just for time's sake, man, I would just probably stay in big nickel over G, or I would stay with dime rush. Okay. Cover three buzz seam. I would probably mess with those more than the other ones. All right. So that's about it for that. I can't think of anything else to think about in that coverage. So I just want to show it to you and show you the different ways you can get into it. All right. So now let's go to the next one is cover eight. So it's pretty simple. All right. Cover eight is our cover nine, show two. Okay. So it shows cover two now. Right. So just be aware of that. Um, so it looks like cover two. Now people might catch on that, okay, well, it's not cover two because of what? When I talked about the safeties. Look how the safeties aligned on number two receiver. He's aligned inside leverage, okay? And look where this one is. He's aligned outside leverage. So people will kind of catch on eventually. Oh, I know this is cover nine, okay? But honestly, I think most people in Madden probably won't know. They might just think it's cover two or cover nine. They can at least break it down to one of those two formations. So if you want to be slick about it, like I had talked about, let's call cover four, right, or cover four palms, or anything that has a four high shell, right? And then now we can sit here and we can play around. You can do the same thing of backing guys up and kind of making it hard for people to see. That's another solution. Um, Going from there, but we could at least do this, hold it, and then get to cover two right before the snap. You could do that. Or if you feel really good about it, right, we can make the changes. We can sit there and put the corner into a cloud flat or a soft squat, whatever you like. Hit the safety back there, put him in a deep half, okay, and then take the nickel and put him into a vertical hook. Okay, so to the left of the screen is the passing strength. We just turn this into cover nine. All right, and it looks like cover four. So those are your options. Again, I would use this mostly versus 3x1 formations. I really like it. If it's a passing down and they're coming out in like a 3x1 nub formation, even better. Okay, so let me just talk about this quickly because there is something that's important here. And this formation here is also in big nickel. It's also in 9236. It's pretty much everywhere for you. Okay, so it's there for you, cover nine. This one actually shows it looks like the opposite of cover six. But anyway, so the passing strength on the left hand side of the screen, we have cover nine. Over here, we're playing quarters. Just so you know, the corner and match quarters would basically take the tight end on every single route, even if he works inside and deep. The only one he won't take him on is if he runs a shallow. Okay, so like usually back in the day, this route right here, 10-yard dig, would be taken by the safety. But this year, the corner just locks on anything deep, okay, or anything outside. So just know that a lot of times I like to take the corner and just man him up on him. I feel like he plays better coverage if I actually physically man him up on that guy. All right. And then your quarter flat defender does have the running back. So be careful in today's game with the wheel routes. So what I like to do is usually this backside guy and I kind of peek for the wheel. Okay. But I'm also playing tricks where I can come over and help out on number three if he runs something over the middle. Okay. So I'm kind of doing both. Um, that's about it, man. And this player here, this half field player, again, tricks is pretty much how they would treat it. Your job is to take away number three, but also be smart, help out where needed and also be aware that it could be a run play as well. Just know from a front standpoint, if you're doing this on first and second down, you probably want to switch your line and move them to the left. All right. That's one reason why I prefer to come out in nickel 2-4, because the whole line doesn't shift in nickel 2-4, just the two interior guys. So let me just show you. So this is the advantage of playing the nickel 2-4, unlike any other coverage. If I call cover nine to this off the bat, right? I'm just going to read option play here. I don't like this bubble right here. I've always talked about this from a Madden standpoint. So now if you shift your line to the left, only those two guys move, not the whole entire D line. Now their angles are still going back to the right, so I would take those guys and go like this and slant them to the left. That's what I would do, just to make the run cut back to where you are if the run does come back. All right, you're like a cutback player back here. But this is why I like cover nine. Again, I'm not going to go through all the concepts. I think it takes too long, but just visualize certain route concepts that, I mean, I just kind of have one right there. Flood's pretty good. That's a tough flood that I have in my book. It's kind of built out of, that one is built out of the nub set. Number three is running the flat route. I'm trying to think of what, do I have any regular? Okay, I'm using a personal playbook here, so that's why you're seeing some of these hard routes to stop. But let's go with this, all right? So we have just flood here. This one still can get caught, but anytime you get three receivers going to run side, all right, that corner route could get eaten up by the corner. You see the corner actually didn't play that one. But definitely when that comes from number two. So most normal floods come from number two, okay? Giving you guys my secrets on the offensive side over here. Let me kind of make one for you. All right. So cover nine. All right. So most floods will look something like this. Okay. And that's just a tough window to throw into with the corner. The corner keeps jumping up. Chris McAllister keeps moving up right there. But depending on how you play that out, you can also, it will work. Trust me. The corner will make plays for you on that, especially when people like to throw on outbreaking routes that take a long time to develop. Okay. So let's take a look at something else here. So that's the base coverage there. That the first two high shell coverage that we have that we stay in too high. The next one is stuff. Okay, stuff is again we're gonna call cover six to start. That's the best way to just play the game out. Okay, and what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna call. Let me get one of the plays that I think it's pretty good against. I won't spend too much time on it because I don't think I have the play that I want to show you guys, but in general, just understand cover six match coverage versus 3-by-1 plays palms, which is what they call area. Okay. Pretty sure they call it area. So that's what they have here, or it could be book. I think they call it book. I think I said that wrong when I was talking about that thing. I think they call this book when they play palms. Okay. So, but when he calls stuff, he doesn't want that. So what we're going to do is use our coaching adjustments, coverage adjustments, I'm sorry, and call sticks. And we're just going to let this thing play out like true zone on this side. So what happens is you get the corners and the safeties playing deep. They're playing soft zone coverage. Underneath, we're not matching. And I think that's the best way to go with this, okay? If you want to use another way of getting into this, another kind of, alternate way is to go back to using our quarters, okay? So we come out in quarters coverage, not palms, okay? So come out in quarters coverage, and then now we're going to make our changes here. We're going to play pack. We're going to play cover six to the weak side. So we're going to take our players that are affected, put them into half field on the left hand side. But if you remember, we're playing quarters. So we're playing quarters on this side. So there is no palms. There's no palms that's going to come out of this. So because of that, you have to use her. Okay, you have to use her the safety. I might actually take this guy and put him into a hook curl as well. Just the free receiver hook player gets kind of wonky if you don't do that. And you have to use it as safety because you have to play between two and three if they both go vertical. All right, because you want that true zone element to the side of the field. I left the corner and then there's regular quarter flat, but that's it. So this is what I'm going to try to attempt. If I can play somebody who gives me a little time, I'm going to come out in quarters coverage like this, and I'm going to quickly make these changes to the backside. I guess the more that I do it, the better I'll get at it. And I don't have to now worry about putting the defense in play the sticks. Okay. So the first option is to call cover six and play the sticks. The second option is to do what I just did there with the changes. Now, if it's 2-by-2, you don't have to really worry about any of that. You can just call cover six. Okay. Because cover six to 2-by-2 on the left hand side plays regular quarters. So you're fine. And on the weak side, we're playing half field. So that was only really, if you want to play stuff versus 3-by-1, follow the rules that we just went through. Okay. I haven't talked about bunches and stacks, but it's pretty much the rules are in the game. I think one thing that I do like, is using the play the sticks rules even against bunch or stacks because the way they play bunch, the way they play box is a little bit wonky sometimes. And sometimes just playing regular zone is a lot better. Or You could take the approach of I'm always gonna if they call bunch, I'm gonna call cover 8, which is cover 9 in Madden. So I'm gonna put the cover 2 side to where the bunch is. I kind of guys in the coordinator crew know that I've been kind of living by that method throughout most of the cycle of any problem formations just to cloud it, basically. I basically am using the Fangio idea against Madden. I'm not going to worry about playing quarters to that side. I'm just going to cloud it off. Okay. So I want to let you know that. Another thing, wait till the next thing we're going to talk about is quads. Okay. And then we'll get to Zeus. Okay. So, and then Pack could be the last one. So let's just kind of go through it quickly here. Quads is quads, guys. I'm not even going to go on the field with this. Just play quarters. Okay. Just play quarters. The only funky thing I could think you can kind of mess around with is if you want to call like cover 6 to 2x2. Let people believe you're in cover 6 and then just take your corners and just put them into outside quarter over here. Take this guy and put him in, take your safety, put him in the inside quarter, right? And then kind of just, you could probably have to use with this vertical hook player become a quarter flat defender. Can I make him a quarter flat defender? No, I can't. I have to put him into a regular hard flat or a throw flat. But you can kind of mess around with people and play regular quarters from this kind of look. People are going to assume the next thing you know, it's just regular quarters. Okay. So something to think about, just if you really want to take it to that next level. Okay. All right. So now we're into Zeus. So how do you want to use Zeus? Okay. I'm going up against the Ravens in 2006. I don't even know who their best receiver is. Let's just take a look. All right. So 2x2. All right. Let me just get an easy play here. All right. We'll go cross. Okay. That's fine. So we don't know. We want to play Zeus, right? Which is now you have lock and loaded quarters. You have lock and loaded stuff. You have lock and loaded um, cover 8. Okay. And in your audibles, just make sure you have those plays in there if you can. So if you're going to call quarters, you're fine. So as long as you have 6 and 2, you're good. Okay. So I'm going to come out in quarters to start. And let's just say who's their best wide receiver? Yeeks. I guess we could say that. Let's go with Stokely. Okay. Stokely's the best receiver. Okay. So we just play quarters versus this formation. Okay. If it was 3x1, same thing. All right. So let's move Stokely around now. So we're in offense, and they want to come out in something else here. Let's just keep in the same formation, actually. All right. So Stokely, we're going to put him over here. Okay. So you don't know where Stokely is. You know it's 2x2, so we come out in quarters. Okay. Did he not move? I thought Stokely was number 18. My fault. Sorry about that. Stokely's number 80. All right. So get Stokely somewhere else here. Okay. Here we go. Stokely's moved. Okay. And now we're going to go into quarters. Let's find Stokely. All right. He's on the right side of the screen. So the easiest thing to do is okay, now what do you have to do to get to play half field against this type of formation to the right side of the screen? We're going to play cover 6. So you kind of have to understand the rules of that. You could sit there and turn match. You could turn auto flip off if you don't want, and just actually just learn it that way. Or cover 6 is to the right, cover 9 is to the left. But I'm not going to do that. 2x2. I know we have to get in the cover 6 now. We're good. Okay. So if Stokely was on the other side, we would play the opposite. We play cover 9. So let's move Stokely over here. Okay. Stokely's out at number 1. We don't know that. He's on the number 1 on the left-hand side. They moved it around. Now we're going to play cover 9. So we'll make the check in the cover 9. Okay. So that plays a little bit into just how we can just kind of play games. People won't know if we're playing, if we're trying to disguise coverage, if we're trying to play around with it. I don't think people are going to read into it too much. And that's how you play Zeus. Okay. So it doesn't matter. I do know versus bunch formations, if he's in the bunch, I think they just play quarters. Okay. So that's how they would kind of get away with it. And again, versus bunch, you may not want to play regular quarters. You might want to make an adjustment to it. However, your bunch checks work for you and the way you've been playing Madden so far, go with it. I have my own way of playing it. Lock triangles, one of my things I like to do. You can do different things. Okay. So that's that. All right. Now we are out of that and we're into the last part here, which is Okay, I didn't talk about, I thought, Zeus, how you want to play it, why you want to do it. Quads, I think I talked about it quickly. You want to do that for like if you're just really dominant on the outside, you're going to win those one-on-ones. You can play more quads, okay? The last one here is going to be pack. Okay, so when we call cover six versus 3-by-1, automatically in Madden, it turns into palms coverage, okay, to the right-hand side, which is the same idea as their book. Okay, and that's all that is a they just have a 3-on-2 over number 2 and 3. They're treating that like it's palms, and they're going to read if both guys go vertical, the nickel and the safety would take the two vertical guys. If they don't go vertical, it just turns back into regular quarters coverage. Okay, two guys don't go vertical. If only one guy goes vertical, it's quarters. No guys go vertical, it's quarters. Two guys have to go vertical for it to turn into a situation where these two players, sorry, the nickel and safety will play both 2 and 3 vertical. Okay. So that's fine. So that's what pack is. Pack allows you to have the games that you can play here with the half field on the weak side. Okay. And then versus a 2-by-1 formation. Okay. Or a 2-by-2 formation. I'm sorry. We would still just call regular cover six as well, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, no. This is where it gets a little funky. So versus 2-by-2, you're going to have to, if you want to play pack, this is the only time you have to do this. You have to call quarters. You have to call palms. I'm sorry. You have to call palms. Okay. And on the weak side, which is over here to the right, we'll make our changes. Oops. Okay. We'll make our changes over here. Come on, guys. Over here to the weak side, we'll play the half field over here. Over here, we're going to play palms. So if you called regular cover six to this, they would not play the palms rules to the 2-by-2. We want to keep palms on, so we have to call palms. So that would be a little bit of a notation there, guys, where you need to call palms for that coverage to work the way you want it to work. Okay. um, Not just quarters. Okay, so if you want to go from a disguise standpoint, don't call quarters to that. Call palms. All right. If you want to just make it simple and just play regular six and just not call it really versus 2-by-2, say pack for 3-by-1 only, then that's fine too. Okay. The read call playing palms on both sides and playing they call it read on both sides, where it's the corner, the safety, and the nickel. I don't. Those games could be used, I think, more. I don't see them used in quads at all, to be honest with you. But I'm sure you can. Okay, so that's up to you. All right, guys, that's pretty much it, man. So just so you know, as a review, we have four different. We usually have 5 different fronts to do this out of. So 2-4 is the main one. If you want to use big nickel over G, you can use that. They give some pretty good disguise for you. They have a little bit of a different alignment with the guys up front. I won't go into all the detail, but I do like to use this versus a lot of the 3-by-1 sets. Okay, so people come out of 3-by-1. The reason why is a lot of, it's better coverage. And actually, let me go back. Let me just give you the little tip that I've used over the years. Make sure you call, actually have it organized this way for the most part. Cover six invert or cover three will blitz three buzz. Weak safety blitz three. What am I talking about? You can use that, but really use cover six invert because that's when we're going to stay in the too high shell. That's what they do. Too high shell, but look how the D line is shifted. Naturally, they're shifted away from the tight end and what I call under front. This is really good because now you could change the coverage to whatever you want behind it. So if I want to get to pocket coverage, the D line doesn't move at all. Okay, just the coverage does. And that only happens if you call cover six invert and a select few other fronts or plays. Then we play ball from here. Okay, so right here we have our book over here. So we're gonna play this over here where these three guys are over number 2 and 3. They're gonna play it out like palms. Over here we're playing half field to the right hand side, and that's it. All right. So just want to let you know you have that there. I like palms really I like big nickel over G for that reason. And I like it for the reason that you can also get 9 grab. You can play 9 grab, which is cover 3 buzz. And then there's some other little things that we have coming up. Dime 236. We have it here. We have all the same coverages here. And just remember that this one is you have a safety that's naturally in this linebacker spot. So if you have a team where you don't have a good safety, that's fine. Or if you even want to use this as just as a change up because you want to have a different D line in there. Okay. Also, another thing is A lot of their cover two shows show two. So cover six show two, cover nine show two, cover three buzz show two, which is grab. Okay. Well, that's not really grab. That's a different call. Sorry, we'll use that for another one because their rotation's going strong with the safety coming down. So forget that. But a lot of show twos. So if you don't want to do all that rotational stuff, it's a passing situation. You don't want to do all the stuff where you have to call quarters and get into different deals. Use dime 236 some more. Okay, I'm probably going to start doing that tonight. I'm going to run a lot of these coverages. I'm going to run out of this package, even if it's second down. There is an option in there if you want that you can actually put in linebacker for strong safety too. So you can actually play this package like a nickel, okay, and just go from there. All right. And then the other one that I have is dime rush. I don't know if I showed it to you. This is traditional dime normal kind of coverage. So this one gives you 9 grab out of 3 buzz seam. It gives you that, and then it gives you everything else except regular cover 9. That's the only one you don't get. Okay. And then the very last one is penny. We haven't gotten into it, but the penny package, we do have cover 8. Okay. But this one has to be used out of show 4 cover 2. So we'd have to just put the put the half field side, roll coverage 2. I'm going to use that terminology. It's a lot easier to say than put the half field side. Just roll the coverage to the strong side. Okay. We also have, we can just run this and run quads. Okay. So those are your fronts. You have a lot of different choices there. I'll organize it in a nice little neat package for you so you can see by each formation which coverages you have available so you don't have to try to remember all that and then go from there. All right. All right, guys. So that's the beginning part of this video. The next one will be talking about man coverage. I might skip over cover 2, just to be honest with you. Just know it's there. Cover 2 is cover 2. I don't have to really talk about too much about it. You can use that on third and long, especially, or maybe versus a double compression set, like somebody comes out in tight snug. You might want to play around with that. You might want to get your corners and back them up a little bit too. But really, we'll focus on the man stuff, which is going to take a little bit of time for me to kind of just process how you want to do it. But it's going to be very similar to this deal where we're going to have coverages that we want to take away the top receiver. But the good thing about this is you could take away more than one receiver. The other one, not so much. This one, you can take away 2 receivers if you want, okay, with different ideas, okay? And then we'll end it with the blitz package, which I think what I'm going to end up doing is just putting all the simulated pressures into one package. So it'll start with the 3-4 package and then roll over to the nickel stuff, and that'd just be one video. So if you want to get all of the simulated pressures, that'd be one package. And there are a handful of just uh, regular zone blitzes that are in there. I think those are self-explanatory. Just run them. There's no real reason for me to sit there and overanalyze it unless there's a coaching point, but just run them. Okay, so that'll probably be the very last video when I do like, hey, just run these plays, do the other blitzes, and then I'll talk probably about red zone or something. All right, so that's the plan going forward, guys. Hopefully, get this done really by the end of the weekend, and you guys have the full list. But I know people probably wanted this. I feel like this is what he's known for. He's known for this cover 6, Fangio 6. All right. Talk to you later, man. Peace.